So you want to know what to do when your conversion rate has dropped dramatically for the day and your sales are tanking. This is E-commerce and Brand Growth, the complete guide. I'm your host, Michael Campanaro, and today's topic is all about what to do when things catch on fire with your site. I have made a quick list that I use when I run into this issue. To elaborate on the issue a little bit more before I jump in, have you ever had an experience where your sales have dropped in one day well below the average that you normally see? For example, if you're seeing $1,000 a day and all of a sudden more than halfway through the day you're only seeing $25. This I've seen happen a few times here and there, and there is a list that I like to run through when I hit this problem with any client sites or sites that we run. So number one, let's jump right in. Test the site. Obviously, you want to jump in. You want to test really through to checkout. So you want to go into your collection pages, click on the add to carts, make sure that your add to cart buttons work, make sure that your cart then works and that you can move through all the way to checkout. Don't just do this once, do this multiple times on different pages to rule out any page specific issues or collection specific issues. The more thorough you can be, the better. And if you're on a Shopify site or any site, run at least one or two checkouts all the way through to checkout. Purchase a product or two on your site. Make sure that you can get through to checkout and there aren't any errors happening through that process. At that point, you can kind of say that you've run through the site a few times. I would say it would be highly beneficial to have more than one person check the site from different connections and on different devices. So call your friends up, family members, coworkers, have them jump in and test. Make sure that you test on Safari, Chrome, Edge, I don't know many people who use that, but any browser that you can think of. Usually you're just going to test Chrome and Safari for right now, but obviously check as much as you can check out to rule out those issues. Number two, you want to question what things may be impacting sales that are outside of the outside of the actual site sales. So for example, is there another competitor running a promotion that bids on your same kind of product line? Is Amazon, is there sale on Amazon running? Are the sales on Amazon increasing drastically? Is there a third party that sells your product that might be running a promotion that could be taking some traffic away from your site or some sales away from your site? You want to make sure that you just have that awareness around that to make sure that, you're not jumping the gun into thinking that your sales are going to be like this forever. So check in with yourself, check in and see if you remember about any promotions that you've been running somewhere else on a different channel, and just be aware of that. Number three, I would highly recommend checking your ad accounts. Make sure that your ad accounts are up and running. If you have ads running, make sure that there aren't any billing errors. Make sure that ads have not completely stopped running for budget restrictions, or maybe you have a cap set on an account like a Facebook account. So make sure that everything is up and running. Make sure that you they're not missing anything there. I'd also recommend shooting a message off to your ads team if you have somebody managing that for you. Number four is to review the traffic sources and compare today to yesterday. So I like to look at, you can look at Google Analytics. You can also look in Shopify and some of the reports for referrals. Just try to find differences in your reports numbers. So comparing from today to yesterday, is a good way to see, like, oh, are there any differences in referral traffics, or were there any big drop-offs in certain areas of what's bringing traffic or revenue to my site? Those things can kind of help you recognize something. It's not always going to be that accurate on Google Analytics because sometimes there's a delay in the data that's coming through. Shopify will be an okay resource to also check if you're using that platform. So anywhere you can kind of just make comparisons. So any like revenue comparisons on channels or sources, any site traffic comparisons, any conversion rate drop-offs that you could see on a certain channel, just look for indicators that something has kind of gone wrong. If you're seeing these drop-offs across the board, or maybe there's nothing that's really sticking out to you. Maybe there isn't as much of an issue there, but you want to just be thorough and look through as much as you possibly can. Another tip would be to reach out to your host. So if you're working with Shopify, reach out to Shopify support, check if there's any reporting issues on the site, check if there are any issues that they've been notifying people about. Also have them take a look at the site as well, just to get a second set of eyes. If you're using another host, if you're on WordPress or WooCommerce, obviously you could contact them as well and check in to see if there are any errors. Usually if you've ran enough tests with devices, then you're probably not gonna find an issue with the host, but just double check just in case. And another, I guess the last thing you can do is to review. You might have to have this set up. So this kind of takes a step back. Before this happens, I hope that you have set up a heat map on the site, or even turned on a live chat, or just had it set up. It doesn't necessarily always need to be running, but if there's an issue that popped up, it's not a bad idea to check out your heat maps, or like install a heat map tool like Lucky Orange, and see if users' behaviors are any indicator of what could be going wrong. I also would say to turn on your live chat. You want to make sure that if users are having an issue, that they can contact you first before abandoning, and make sure that you're there for them to put in their order, build out a draft for them, and get them to check out through chat, or send them a link to their checkout. So in any case, I think that you want to make sure that you've covered all of your bases here. It's not to say that there's not an issue, but sometimes you do have just slower days, or big drop-offs on one day, and then next day it's back to normal. I've seen this, and I often think that it sometimes when you've ruled out all the errors, it tends to have to do with more of external factors that are coming into play here that I sort of mentioned before. So don't freak out right away. You're also usually you're looking at your data in the middle of the day, so things could change later. More orders could just come through. It could become more busy. I like to kind of relate this to a retail store, really. If you've ever worked at a retail store, you do have some kind of odd, slow days, and sometimes there's not as much of an explanation of it as you'd like. So don't freak out yet. Conversion rates can drop for a day or so and then shoot right back to where they were. I'd say start to get concerned if this is a trend and if it's continuing. And if you do find some issues, obviously get them resolved as quickly as possible. And yeah, those are the top things I'd run through. If I have, obviously, if you're listening to this and you can reach out to me, you have like more that you want to talk about or tips that you also share, please connect with me on LinkedIn, or stay tuned for more podcast episodes so that you can communicate with me. We'll be having Q&As at some point, and I would love to jump back in and answer any questions and bring those up in later episodes too. So again, this is E-commerce and Brand Growth, the complete guide, and I'm your host, Michael Campanaro, owner of Porters.io. a marketing consulting company that helps small, mid, and large, all different size brands we act as an external team for your internal marketing operations that you may or may not have fully fleshed out depending on the size of your company and the company's needs. In any case, thanks for sticking by. Please look out for new episodes and make sure that you follow or subscribe. Thanks.